My name is Danielle Twum, and I work at Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. I am a medical science liaison, which means that I build relationships between doctors or other healthcare providers and my company in order to be able to develop new drugs for patients who need them. To summarize my work, I am a relationship builder. I acquire new knowledge every day. My main role is basically to understand what are the needs patients have, especially in lung cancer, which is what I work on at Regeneron, and what are the needs these patients have, and how can Regeneron help address these needs through the development of new drugs. And so to further explain what I do, I'm a bridge basically between healthcare providers and my company. And so what I do is I meet with healthcare providers, be it doctors, nurses, PAs, to be able to understand what they're seeing in the clinic, to be able to understand what patients are being left behind with current treatment options for lung cancer, and then make sure that this kind of information is brought back to Regeneron, back to the scientists at Regeneron, so that they can start having conversations that will possibly help these patients get access to new drugs that Regeneron is developing through clinical trials. And a clinical trial is basically a huge test where patients are able to get access to drugs that are in development that have been deemed safe for patients to be able to treat a particular kind of cancer that currently does not have any kind of treatment. To explain my work, I have to explain first what cancer is. And cancer is growth that is unregulated. Imagine you cut your finger, 2 days later, you come back and the wound is kind of healing, but then the wound keeps on healing and healing and healing. More and more skin cells or other cells just keep on getting to the area to heal it. And that just means that the wound is overhealing, it's unregulated. And so cancer is basically a bunch of cells that grow so much without hearing the word stop. And usually it's caused by mutations in the body. You can think of them as when the traffic lights in your cells are off and everybody is go, go, go. It's not possible for everything to be go, go, go at the same time. So whatever is causing there to not be a red light or a yellow light, you have to understand what that is. And that's what a lot of cancer treatment is trying to make sure that you bring back stoplights in the cells so that they stop growing more than they are needed. The problem with cancer is that it can take over a lot of your body's organs. It can take over your body's functions so that it starts, the organ that is happening in starts misbehaving and not working properly. And especially for lung cancer, you need your lungs to breathe. So imagine if you had a growth in your lung that just kept on growing, it means that you don't have as much lung to breathe, and that's not a good thing because you need oxygen. So yes, my work just ensures that patients who are suffering from different kinds of lung cancers get access to treatment that will help bring back stoplights, working stoplights in their cells. A regular day for me doesn't exist because sometimes I have slow days, sometimes I have very, very fast, busy days, but my work can be split in two ways. I work from home or I'm traveling to meet HCPs, also known as healthcare providers, at conferences. I'm traveling to meet them in their offices to discuss what the new drug developments that are happening at Regeneron if the doctors have asked for it, but also to understand what their patients need in terms of treatment. So if I'm not doing that, I'm going to a conference, which is always a great place to be able to meet new people for networking opportunities. Also to understand the new developments that are happening in lung cancer treatment, and also to, as I said, I acquire new knowledge. So a conference is always a great place for that kind of knowledge acquisition and also network building. When I'm at home, I'm answering emails or I am you know, I'm having meetings. I do a lot of emailing. I know a lot of people say emailing is very boring, but a lot of my conversations happen through emails. And so I'm very, very cognizant of how I write emails. But I also am on video calls with, healthcare providers, and also with my teammates. I work with a very fantastic group of other medical science liaisons, and also with other members of different teams at Regeneron to be able to do all of this work in order to help patients get access to the care that they need. So the exciting thing that has happened to me in my role, I think, is that every time I go to a conference or something, I always hear a story of a patient who was treated with a certain cancer drug, and then they did better, they got better, they got married, or they did something very cool, and then they brought their family to meet the doctor that treated them. I remember I had a conversation with a doctor who had created this very transformative drug, and he received a letter from a patient who had received the drug a long time ago, and the patient was writing to tell him that he was going to med school because of that doctor. And so when I think of cancer treatment, whether it's lung cancer, breast cancer, any kind of cancer, I think of healing generations, because you're giving families their family member back. You're giving them a whole new lifeline. And I think that's what keeps it's very exciting to me. I never get tired of hearing patients' stories. I never get tired of having patients advocate for better treatment for themselves. I think that is also very exciting. So my career path to this role was very circuitous. I'm from Ghana, West Africa, and so when I moved to the United States, I thought I was going to become a medical doctor. But then I went to Vassar College, where I got my BA, Bachelor's of Arts, and I was working on marine biology. I was working on sea anemones. If you've seen Finding Nemo, that should ring a bell. But I was also trying to understand what coral bleaching, why coral bleaching happens. And one of the hypotheses at that time was that it was an immune response, which is how it led me to the world of the immune system. And then that's how I went ahead and got a PhD in cancer immunology. So you just never know where Finding Nemo will take you. The qualifications someone would need for this role, I work with people who have advanced degrees in pharmacy, so they are PharmDs. I work with PhDs, I work with MDs, I work with people who have all these other degrees, including an MBA. And so, these are the kinds of qualifications you would need for the kind of work I do as a medical science liaison. Yeah. The kind of advice I would give to my younger self, or to anyone who wants to pursue a role like this, is that it doesn't have to be a straight line. You don't have to fit into a box. The cool thing about being a scientist is that you're allowed to be curious. You're allowed to test different hypotheses, and then if they don't work, at least you got a lesson out of it. And so try new things. Don't be scared to go off the beaten path, because in doing so, you will have experiences that you never even thought of.